Good evening, and welcome to Doctorpiece Theater. My name is Dr. Dennis Business, and tonight we will continue our dive into the magic of the unicorn. We will find that unicorn and we will claim it for ourselves, friends, because that is where we begin tonight. When we were last in the forest, our adventure had just begun. Our well, the source of life for our village, has been tainted by unknown forces. It could be a sorceress. It could be anything. We left from there, and we talked to our friend, the village elder lady, Marie Claire. And she told us a whole bunch of stuff and how much she believes in us and how intelligent we are and how much we doubt it. And then she passed on her magic talisman. She gave us words of encouragement and sent us on our way. Instead of the graveyard, we chose to go see the lepers. They were supposed to live at a house of woe, indeed they did. But the incorrect house of woe it was. From there, the villagers saw us, and they shouted, "Keep away," but you were only there for a minute. And as you vacated your home, you ran into Simon the merchant, and you could either go to the city of Eris with him, or head out into the wild looking for a unicorn, because somebody told me that the unicorn horn can cure most any disease, and it can most certainly purify our village drinking water. So into the wild we went, until we found our first clue. To the right, we had odd-looking footprints, not like a horse, not like a deer, but different. And then to our right, we saw some silver strands, and at first we couldn't decide if they were hairs or if they were metal or what, and after closer inspection, they were indeed silver hairs, so we were left with a choice. Do we follow the prints, or do we follow the mysterious silver hairs? Since we are choosing our own adventure together, I posed the question, what will we choose? And it came out looking something like this. But there is a tie, however unlikely that outcome may be. So in the event of a tie, I will cast the tie-breaking vote. We will follow the silver strands. Thanks, but I can't go with you now. How about another time? You tell Simon. You wave goodbye as he continues down the road. When he disappears from view, you leave the road and make your way into the shadowy forest. The air is parched and still. Even the birds are quiet. As you travel deeper into the forest, the only sound you hear is the crunching of your footsteps on dry leaves. After several hours of walking, you notice a few long strands of silver tangled in a bush. You hold your discovery up to the light, trying to decide whether it is fine thread or hair. You've never seen anything like it. You look around for other strands of silver, and you spot several small hoof prints. They are too little to belong to a horse and aren't the right shape for a deer. Your heart stops for a second when you realize the footprints in the silver strands may be traces of a unicorn. You search for more evidence and are surprised to see that the hoofprints lead in one direction and the silver hairs in another. You pause, deciding which way to go. As you search through the forest for silver strands, you hear a rustling of leaves. Stepping quietly, you follow the sound until you spy a flash of silver through the trees. It is not a unicorn after all, but a young woman wearing a fraying shawl woven of silver thread. As you run up to her, you wonder if she might be the sorceress. No ordinary person would own such a shawl. "Hello!" you call. When she turns around, you see her face is filled with terror. Her velvet gown is torn and dusty. "I thought you were the kidnappers," she explains breathlessly. "What kidnappers?" you ask. "Those villains who kidnapped me. I managed to escape during the night, but I'm sure they're looking for me." She glances around nervously. "Can you hide me?" "Sure," you reply. "I'll bring you home to my village." She smiles at you gratefully. "I'm so lucky you found me. What are you doing in the middle of the forest anyway? You look a bit young to be a hunter or a woodcutter." You sigh wearily. "I'm looking for a unicorn. You see, the well in my village is tainted, and our supply of rainwater is almost gone." "I can help you," says the woman happily. "You can." She looks at you strangely. "Don't you know who I am?" You shake your head. "I'm the king's daughter," she replies, "and as soon as I get home, I'll give you my unicorn horn as a reward for saving me." The end. I suppose this is all going to be my fault, because I went after the silver strands. Well, it seems we never really discussed what we would do if the story came to an ending. I don't know why I thought we would die and go back. My memory of Choose Your Own Adventures seems to be fairly inaccurate. Let's go. The summer of 1507 is exceptionally dry throughout Flanders. Fires scorch the forests, crops wither, and animals collapse from thirst. Nowhere is the drought as severe as in your own small village. Just last week, when you went to go check the dwindling water supply, you discovered a dead rat floating in the well upon which everyone depended. Since then, the water has been foul and tainted. The barrels of rainwater are nearly empty, and all attempts to dig a new well have yielded nothing but dry earth. One morning, after weeding the fields you inherited when your parents died 10 years ago, you pay a visit to Marie Claire. She is the oldest person in the village and one of your special friends. "Some people say this might be the last summer any of us lives to see," you tell her sadly. "None of the other villages around has enough water to share with us, and it's hopeless to keep trying to dig a new well. I wish there was something I could do about it." Marie Claire looks up from her knitting. "You could try to lure a unicorn to the well. Why, the touch of its horn purifies even poison." "But Marie Claire," you exclaim, "around here, unicorns are rarer than water. I bet it would be easier to find the sorceress than a unicorn." "That is a good idea," she replies. "I'm sure the sorceress knows all about unicorns. Why don't you look for her?" "But no one has seen her in years," you remind Marie Claire. "The last person who tried to find her never returned." "Ah, but you are 10 times smarter than anyone who has ever searched for the sorceress. If anyone can find her, it is you." Although you feel flattered, you are not sure you are really clever enough. "Well, I'll give it a try, I wonder if I still remember that riddle describing the way to find the sorceress. Is this right? You take a deep breath and recite. Near a land reserved for woe, in a place that's high but low, watch which way the bat doth go. Find me there, and I will know. Perfect, says Marie Claire, as she hands you a glass pendant shaped like a raindrop. Put on my good luck talisman. Use it as you need it, my child. You say goodbye to Marie Claire, and then you roam the parched fields. After pondering the riddle, you think of two places reserved for woe. The sorceress could mean the village graveyard, or the small camp outside the village where two men who suffer from leprosy live in gloomy isolation. Even though the path to the graveyard is all downhill, you were hot and thirsty by the time you arrived there. You sit in the shade of a drooping tree to cool off. As you watched parched leaves float to the dusty ground, you consider the next line of the riddle. In a place that's high but low. What can be both high and low? Looking around, you notice the rolling slopes of the hills along the far side of the graveyard. They seem to be both high and low. But then the church bell rings, striking noon. Turning, you realize the steeple of the church also fits the riddle. The church itself is in a low valley, but the steeple towers high above the village. If you walk over to the hills, turn to page 5. If you enter the church, turn to page 16. That was our second try at reading The Magic of the Unicorn. We did not claim the unicorn, and I'm starting to think Marie Claire might not be the wisest woman in the village. I didn't expect us to die so early. I didn't. I expected a fucking quest. We met a girl in the forest. That's basically what just happened. That's what just happened. We're going through, we're all gung-ho. Marie Claire gives us a fucking pendant, and we see Simon and all this other da-da-da-da-da. Damsel in distress. Fuck it, let's head back home to where there's no water. Like, what kind of a dude is he? Being like, hey, baby, you're all beat up. Somebody tried to kidnap you. Why don't you come to my house? That's like inviting her over to the house that doesn't have a roof. Like, hey, welcome to the village. It's a nice place, but we're probably going to die of thirst, though. She was safer in the fucking forest with the kidnappers. At least the kidnappers were giving her water. I'm quite frustrated we died so fast. But we have a new choice ahead of us, and we will conquer this motherfucker, and we will find that goddamn unicorn. Because this has been Doctorpiece Theater. My name is Dr. Dennis Business. And as always, my unicorn hunting friends.